Howard Jones says today is an exciting day for Boeing and the entire St. Louis region. The city will remain a strong partner, and we continue to promote St. Louis as a leader in innovation and industry. Multi-agency resource centers, or MARCs, are opening this Tuesday to assist families affected by last Friday's severe storms and tornadoes. This one-stop shop provides cleaning supplies, insurance information, food stamp replacement, legal services, and emergency financial assistance. MARC will be in Pacific and several other areas hit hard. Residents can go to any center, though. It does not have to be in the city or the county that you live in. At 7:05, Dave Murray has our forecast.
Lots of clouds around for evening plans with temperatures dropping through the 60s. We'll clear out late tonight, and yes, the wind stays with us. 39 for the overnight low. On Saturday, plenty of sun, light winds on Saturday. It's the best day of the weekend, 62. Saturday night, clouds take over. Windy comes back. Showers, couple of thunderstorms late night, I think primarily after midnight, 47. Sunday, scattered showers and possible thunderstorms, breezy. It's an unsettled day on Sunday. I don't think it rains all the time, but we have to keep an eye on the sky. 65 for the high. Monday, sunny and 62. I'm meteorologist Dave Murray for the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
The good news, the red flag warning has been allowed to expire. Right now, it is 64 degrees in St. Peter, 65 in Florissant, and downtown at the Arch, it's 65. I'm Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
The following is a KMOX Sports Special.
Our city, our spirit.
Welcome to the City Spotlight.
It's in! City goal!
Now, your host, Jen Cease on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
There we go. That sounds a little bit better. It's not me trying to pretend to be Matt Pauley. This is Jen Cease in the downtown studios of KMOX Radio. I just filled in for Matt for the Sports Open Line, so I'm taking one hat off and putting another hat on. He'll be back for Sports Open Line and all things Cardinal baseball, St. Louis Blues. There's Battlehawks. What is there not? There's a ton of sports going on here in St. Louis, and Matt will cover it all. In the meantime, we're going to switch over to the City Spotlight. That's where we get to take an hour a week or so to cover all things St. Louis City SC and even other soccer. We often talk local soccer, such as club soccer, high school soccer. At this point in time, though, we're going to shift to big news from last night. The U.S. men's national team, in what seems to be a stunner, lost in the CONCACAF Nations League to Panama in a 90-plus, I can't remember the exact minute, but stoppage in added time was scored on, with a lot of people really upset. And here to give us perspective is Ty Keough, former U.S. men's national team player himself, and of course, broadcaster. Ty, thanks for joining me to talk about a topic I didn't really want to talk about, but I got it.
Well, you're right, Jen. The focus really comes down hard, over the next, what are we talking about now? Probably 15 months until the World Cup is hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico. And the wake-up call that the U.S. men's national team got last night in that loss to Panama, I think it helps because there's enough months that some of the issues can be addressed, that people can really do some soul searching, because this is a match that was a competitive match, not a friendly. It's a CONCACAF Nations Cup. And so the really bad thing is that they would have gotten a second game that really meant a lot. If they had gotten past Panama, they would have been playing Sunday against Mexico, who had beaten Canada in the other semifinal. And that's always a great test, to play Mexico in terms of the CONCACAF power structure. You want to match up against the toughest teams. But, we will be playing against Canada in the third place game on Sunday, which still, because of the political situation, perhaps could be a little bit politically charged. But the fact is, you're going to be hosting a World Cup, and Panama has kept the U.S. out of a World Cup before. And, they can't do it this time because we're a host country and automatically qualify. But in terms of the actual play by the U.S. team, uninspired. Pochettino, the coach, the new manager, relatively new manager for the U.S. men's national team, called it, I think, painful to watch. And it certainly was. There was not much creativity and not really any dangerous attacks hardly coming out of the U.S. team, except, I guess, basically Sargent, the St. Louis guy, looked pretty dangerous up front, had a goal called back to, also because of an offside call.
Yeah, I just kind of looking around. We had it on in our house as well last night. Whether you were actively watching or walking around, certainly taking a look at. I remember where I was standing when, my husband lost his mind, and my son did as well, and looked up in hopes that it was a good thing, and it wasn't. And getting reactions all over from Landon Donovan weighing in on it to saying it was underwhelming to Alexi Lawless, who does not hold himself back, disgraceful. And then also, though, Ty then finding an article or two that says, hey, why this doesn't spell complete doom. Is there a middle ground for that? Are there things that was it a disgrace, and or can it lead to the next right step?
Well, it's a huge disappointment because you expect the U.S. to be able to get past a team, a country like Panama, and get into the final against Mexico. So there's no question that the expectations are much higher, and it is very emotional to see the U.S. With all of the advantages we have, all of these players that make big money in Europe coming back to participate in this particular competition and still not getting the results. So I could see that. I could see really having an edge to some of the critique. But you can also give some credit to the Panamanians. I mean, they played a very disciplined game, a very physical game. And they made it tough for the U.S. team to create much of a rhythm in terms of creating dangerous attacks. So, that balances it out a little bit. I think Panama did a really good job. But the U.S. team, I think they're going to have to tinker with several things. If you look closely at the U.S. lineup, Yunus Musa is not really a right back. Weston McKennie is not really a right winger. These guys were playing in positions. Pochettino, he's trying to work. He's trying to circle the square. He's got Tyler
that's
Adams.
a great way to put it.
Where do you put him? Reyna should have been put on at halftime after the what some people called a disgraceful display in terms of creativity out of midfield for the U.S. team in the first half. Because he does do things that are unexpected, that are extremely creative with his vision and so forth. Because you could see the frustration by Christian Pulisic and Josh Sargent, and especially Pulisic started dropping more and more back into midfield because he wanted to get involved because nothing was happening out of there. And to me, that was just crying for bringing Reyna's talents into the attacking midfield there, so that Pulisic maybe could go out on that left wing, move away to the right wing. Because again, Weston McKennie's not a right winger, so we weren't getting any danger from that right-hand side. And these are all things that need to be tinkered with. And it's a good thing that they were very easily, I think, discovered by Pochettino by just watching closely what went on in most of that match.
Last but not least, I'll ask you, because I feel like as we switch over to City in the next segment and talk to Dale Schilly, that, City has a new goalkeeper right now at the moment, Ben Lunt. And Ben and I talked, actually, he'll be the interview at the end of the bottom of the hour, and talked about how, as a goalkeeper, you can't win the game for your team. You can often feel like you lose the game for your team. And of course, Matt Turner coming under scrutiny for making the save, not making the save. But of course, there are 10 guys in front of you that didn't score and the ball got there. Is there a way that you look at that from where you played before, Ty, and how you see Matt Turner not coming up big at the same time 10 other guys didn't make it happen either?
I'm biased here. You can't blame Matt Turner for the loss, but you do need a goalkeeper that can come up with the big play at the right time. We've been spoiled here in St. Louis with Berkey obviously doing that for us. Now, on the U.S. bench, and one of the three goalkeepers currently in the camp is Patrick Schulte, a St. Louis guy. So he deserves a chance. I think Turner, maybe is coming under more pressure with young guys like Schulte, kind of want to make a debut for his job. And he didn't do the job on that game-winning goal in stoppage time. And maybe get Schulte in there. Maybe he can make the big save at the big time and find a place into the World Cup team. And while we're talking about St. Louis guys, I mentioned Josh Sargent earlier. Having a couple of really good chances, including the one that was called back. But Tim Ream looks like he's still really got it based on his performance in the match last night.
He looked good. It's,
and you you couldn't have convinced me a year or two ago that he'd still be around potentially for the 2026 World Cup. But I'm looking at it now, in the 2026 World Cup, roughly, 15 months away. I think he could do it, and I think he could be a big part of any success that the U.S. team might have. So, I'm ecstatic to see a guy like him with his experience and his dedication, and with that captain's armband and everything else, a St. Louis guy making us proud.
Thanks a lot, Ty. We look forward to checking in with you as they continue their play throughout the year and more.
Okay, sounds good, Jen. Nice talking to you.
You
Take
too.
care.
That was Ty Keogh, former U.S. men's national team player himself and broadcaster, talking to us about the U.S. men's national team loss to Panama last night. Their next game is against Canada for third place in the CONCACAF Nations League, Sunday, March 23rd at 5 p.m. More soccer to come. This time, our MLS home team, St. Louis City SC, undefeated in the MLS and the only team yet to concede a goal. We'll talk about it with Y98 game analyst Dale Schilly next on KMOX.
It is getting close to decision time for the Cardinals and their roster. This is Tom Ackerman in Jupiter, Florida. Listen for my spring training report, the latest news as we get closer to opening day.
Hear Tom's reports, mornings and afternoons, and on Sports Open Line. On your voice of the St. Louis Cardinals, KMOX.
Discover true luxury at Missouri's first and only standalone Genesis dealership, Genesis of St. Charles. Thank you for making us the #1 Genesis dealer in Missouri for 2024. True luxury isn't just built. It's engineered with precision and passion. Explore amazing cutting-edge technology, redefined elegance, and exhilarating performance in the new 25 GV80. A new level of luxury awaits you at Genesis of St. Charles. Visit us in-store or shop genesisofstcharles.com. Based on GMA sales records.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hey, it's Jim Costa with Cash the Ticket. It's March, so Mike Valeni and I are all over the tournament again this year. There's just nothing like betting in March. Breakdowns of every region and every game. From conference tournaments to the Final Horn, we'll have the picks and the plays on every single game. Cinderella spotlights, upset alerts, and some of that value for the last team standing. It's tourney time, so hunker down and bet the board with us. Subscribe and listen to Cash the Ticket in the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
We started Neovitin because we wanted to create a multivitamin for ourselves. That's why we focus on quality ingredients and formulas with our multivitamins. Neovitin 50-plus multivitamins are formulated with over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our 4-ingredient, physician-formulated proprietary blend for the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitin 50-plus multivitamins a try for yourself. Find them at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
Ready to make lake life a reality? With Anywhere Lombardo at Lake of the Ozarks, you can build a home designed just for you. Whether it's a cozy retreat or a luxurious lakeside escape, our custom designs bring your vision to life, set against stunning lake views and peaceful surroundings, the perfect balance of relaxation and adventure. With a trusted builder backed by long-standing vendor relationships, you'll enjoy cost savings and superior quality from start to finish. Start your dream home today with Anywhere Lombardo. Visit lombardohomes.com to learn more.
Family photographs and movies are very important. Trust the local leader in photography, the Photo Pros, formerly Creve Coeur Camera, with your memories. We can preserve photos, film, movies, VHS, mini tape, slides, and we restore images. Don't forget, nothing leaves St. Louis. We personally take care of you. You get great service for a reasonable price. Quality is second to none, and the more you bring in, the better the price. To find us, Google Creve Core Camera or the Photo Pros.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, millions of men experience ED, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. At HIMSS, our own board-certified urologist, Dr. Peter Stahl, knows this better than anyone, and he knows that HIMSS can help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, Senior Vice President of Men's Sexual Health at HIMSS. I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS.
Through HIMSS.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs. Options at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy. To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% less than brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
It's official. KMOX is moving to FM. Starting March 24th, listen to the voice of St. Louis at 104.1 FM.
Now, back to the City Spotlight.
Our city, our spirit.
Once again, Jen Cease on KMOX.
You heard it there. Joey Zanaboni and Dale Schilly on the call as City had their first home win and also for the first time took points with Seattle here recently, winning that game. Dale Schilly, St. Louis City Academy Director and game analyst on Y98. You were also on that call, Dale. That was an exciting set piece from Edward Lubin.
Well, I think it's the first time Joey saw Edward score.
Is that right? He acted
No,
like it.
What a hit by Adu. I mean, you know, we talked about it before the restart. When you're too close to the 18, it takes a different type of strike than what we saw from Adu. If you're around 18, 19 yards out, it's really inside of the foot, and you kind of got to just spin the ball over top of the wall and hit it a little more concerned with direction than power. But he was there. He was probably 25, 27 yards out. And he got to really unleash it. And, you know, when you watch the replay, went up over the wall and then dipped down and beat the keeper about waist height. He really had a lot of action on the ball.
Yeah, I was looking at that as well just to kind of prep for the show again and revisit it. And I was like, wow, look at the space he's given Adu and he's daring him to go there. And you can't do that when Adu puts that right inside the post.
Well, the problem, though, Jen, is you can't, as a goalkeeper, you're responsible for the space that's not covered by the wall. And that would be the space at the back post. If he gets beat, the goalkeeper, if Fry gets beat to the back post, then it's a problem on him. At that moment that he, you know, you got the wall set up, you got all your tall guys in the wall, you've got everything situated. He's responsible for dealing with the back post. If Adu can put it up and over the wall and get it to dip in, you can dive and try all you want and hope that you can get a finger to it. But, you know, kudos to the shooter when they can finish a shot like that.
Of course. And overall, as you know, you've heard him this week, Coach Melberg, pleased with City's performance. Of course, things to tweak, but a couple of other players talked about how great it was. I don't think Olaf felt the pressure himself not being at City, but the City players certainly felt a little pressure wanting to finally grab some points when it came to dealing with the Sounders. I got to talk a little bit with Ben Luton. We'll play with his interview after your segment here. The fact that, you know, Coach and him, they've talked about how it's so much nicer to be ready each week, to have like a full week of training. He's got a little bit different of a profile than Roman Berkey. Normally he's ready there just in case. Kyle Hebert was at the press conference today and talking about Roman's qualities and also Ben's. Yeah, certainly, Dale, and I would imagine that that is a comforting thing for not only the guys who see Ben show up. I mean, I watch the guys score on Roman, believe it or not, and I watch Ben make plenty of saves. But also for Ben to walk into a City defense that's a whole lot more organized this year, it seems.
Well, I would say that he's benefiting from the deeper defending. Ben's strength is going to be controlling the 18, dealing with crosses, shot stopping. I would say that if you had to pick out a weakest part of his game, it might be balls played in behind the back four and covering 40 yards of space when the line is high. But the way that we're playing now, the line's deeper. That really plays right into Ben's hand, and he can be very confident with his abilities to deal with balls played inside the box and shot stopping and that sort of thing. We saw that the other night. He made a couple of good plays. He only got called on to make one save, but he had to cut the one ball out. It was driven across the box, and he punched it clear. Made a good decision, one on a cross to punch it one-handed, the other one to dive out and punch it beyond the 18. So, yeah, it plays right into his hands. It's really good to see him get the opportunity to put consecutive games back-to-back, and we'll see how he handles, 3, 4, 5 games, whatever that number is, when he knows that he's going to be the guy going forward.
And of course, I know you're out in Philadelphia right now, right? You're out. You and Joey landed safely.
We
with the team?
are out in Philly, getting ready for the game.
All right, and when it comes to the big questions, of course, this week in terms of asking players like Kyle, what's that going to be like to face up against Indiana Vasilev? Kyle admitting it's going to be lovely to say hello to him after we win. We'll leave the niceties for after the game, but also both him, Kyle, and Olaf Melberg talked a little bit about, previewing Philadelphia in terms of the fact that there's really no secrets. They know the profile of the team, but that's not really the issue when it comes to Philly, that knowing them. Dale, that reminds me of how anybody speaks when you talk about Lionel Messi. When you talk about Lionel Messi, he's going to cut on you, and you can prepare for it, and he's probably going to beat you. And it makes it sound like that's the way they've had to think about Philly. You can prepare for that, but let's not fool ourselves that they are good at their job of the press.
And what's interesting is, in my preparation for the game tomorrow night, it's like you're looking back into a mirror from a year ago. So you would always see, hey, we're winning the ball in the front half more often than the opponent, and we're winning balls in the middle third, and we're getting to goal in shorter number of passes and in less number of seconds, et cetera, et cetera. Well, now it's the other side of the coin for us. Now we're the team that's sitting deep. They're the team that's winning the ball higher up the field. So it's the complete opposite. Teams in the past would say, okay, let's give St. Louis City the ball and see what they're like on the ball.
Right.
And now it's the opposite. Now we're going to allow them to have the ball and see if we can be on the break. So it's going to be a really interesting matchup to see what it's like on this side of the fence against Bradley. Really, who has the ball the least? Because Bradley only wants 40% of the ball.
Max.
We've only had 37% of the ball. Who doesn't want the ball, and who's going to win? Do they need to have the ball, or do we both want to try to play in the break? It's a great matchup. I can't wait to see how it unfolds.
Yeah, and of course, let's call a spade too. Time is ripe potentially to take advantage again of a team who's not at their full strength, having players out for the break, having other things going on. But Kyle Hiebert did talk about, to paraphrase him a little bit, he said it could be windy there. I don't know what the weather's going to look like, but regardless of the wind, he expects potentially that chaos that Bradley likes to create in his attacking third. It'll be City's defensive third, that he called on the need for it to be clean, to not, to take care of any loose balls. You've got to have those 50-50s won, no silly turnovers, and, don't give very much away. You just can't do that with a team like the Union.
The game is going to be windy. I'm going to give you a clue in a little bit here. We are going to be stationed and positioned outside of the press box. We will be amongst the people once again, and the wind blowing off of the river. So it should be interesting. But
Good to know.
The conditions are not going to be ideal because it is going to be windy. It's going to be in the mid 40s. But that's what it is. And I think both teams are willing to grind and be gritty and figure out how to scrap and claw to get the chances that they need to score goals. And to your point, your initial point is they'll be missing some players to national team duty. That's just the nature of the game. That's what happens when you build your rosters the way that they've built their roster. And so they know they're going to be missing guys certain times of the year. Happens to fall in a game when we play them. And hopefully we can get out with 3 points and don't apologize. Just work hard to get it.
Yeah, and I'd be remiss. My last question for you is about another position, just one that City's got a little bit of lack of depth in, and Olaf talked about it this week. Thomas Totland out for a month with hamstring, not as deep there. He did mention there are center backs who can do that job. Of course, Conrad Vollum is he can do both sides, and Akil Watts, he's done that as well. It would be interesting to know what he chooses to go with for this next game.
Yeah, it kind of depends on the system. What you need from that wide position is much different in a 3-5-2 than it would be from a 5-4-1. So you can always drop Akil back into that spot, which could open maybe something up for Salio or somebody in that wide position in a 4-man midfield. If we're 3-5-2, then I think we'll see Akil in that role. Although, to be honest, you could go with Vollum and Kyle Hebert as well. It just depends on the matchups that Olaf wants.
It's not a bad problem to have. Thanks, Dale, and we'll talk to you tomorrow, 6 p.m. on Y98 for what sounds going to be a windy pregame.
That's right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Dale. That's Dale Schilly, Y98 analyst. You can hear him and Joey Zanaboni on City's next game. They're away on the East Coast against Philly, so that means an earlier start here in St. Louis. So tomorrow, Saturday, March 22nd, pregame at 6 p.m. on our sister station, Y98. By the way, Y98 is where I'll be for the game, while some other fans are going to get a great different experience for Women's History Month watch party at Minetta Pitch Club. Women fans are invited to join the club for a watch party at Energizer Park. You kind of get the full city experience, but they're away, but in the Minetta Pitch Club, which is awesome, by the way, if you haven't been there. Tickets are still on sale. They haven't sold out. It includes food, 2 drinks, a caricature artist. You get to go pitch side and take some pictures. Sounds like a lot of fun. Visit City's website to find out more. Hang with us on the City Spotlight. We're going to hear a preview of this game's player profile with fill-in new City goalkeeper Ben Lunt. He's up next on KMOX.
When news breaks, St. Louis turns to the team that knows your community best. At KMOX, our newsroom is dedicated to delivering the stories that matter to you. KMOX News is here for St. Louis.
This is Tom Ackerman of Total Information AM.
This is Debbie Monterey.
This is Megan Lynch.
Hi, this is Michael Calhoun with KMOX News.
I'm Maria Kina.
Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
Starting March 24th, listen to the voice of St. Louis at 104.1 FM.
You might know Graybar for cable and connectivity, but there's one more thing you should know us for that can help optimize your project's total value, like our comprehensive electronic solutions for security, AV, wireless, and networking, or our specialized job site services, like material staging and kitting, or maybe our logistics specialists who can help you identify efficiencies and ensure just-in-time delivery. So consider what one more thing you may need to optimize your bottom line and get to know us for that. Yep, Graybar does that.
Ouch! Check from behind. Man, that's gotta hurt.
I'd hire Morgan & Morgan if I were them.
What?
Yeah, Dan, America's largest injury law firm. They serve up justice, ice, cold, law. Know what I mean?
I guess.
Their gloves come off when they fight for you.
Okay.
I'm talking a settlement slap shot.
Shouldn't we be talking about the game?
Yeah, Dan, Morgan & Morgan.
Proud partner of the St. Louis Blues. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Hey guys, Dave Glover here for Universal Windows Direct. Right now, buy 2 windows, get 2 windows free. No limit, pay no interest until 2030. Restrictions apply. Have a price, they'll beat it. Schedule your free in-home estimate today. 314-334-2522.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect.
Universal Windows Direct. I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
It's awful, hon.
My brother got life insurance from Ethos, and it only took 10 minutes. And he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
Hey guys, it's Kevin Wheeler. Struggling with low energy, performance issues, or weight gain? Game Day Men's Health has you covered with testosterone therapy, ED treatments, and more, all in a relaxed environment that's like being in the man cave. At Game Day, you get a free testosterone test and consultation all in just an hour. Game Day is the premier men's health clinic with 3 area locations in Chesterfield, O'Fallon, Missouri, and Glen Carbon, Illinois. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com and get back to the top of your game with Game Day Men's Health.
An important message from S&L Coins. S&L Coins pays top dollar for your gold and silver coins, old currency, gold-filled jewelry, scrap gold and silver, silver plating, gold and silver bullion. Get a quote with a call to S&L at 544-3600. S&L Coins, 544-3600. Or visit S&L Coins at 9300 Gravois, just east of McKenzie. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 Saturday. Before you sell, call S&L 544-3600.
Seeing the world around you is so important. So take care of your eyes. And why would you trust them to just anyone? The best doctors to see for your best vision are the Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, Andy Royer, and Samuel Berry. The Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates are experts in diagnosis and treatment of diseases of the eye. Things like dry eye, cataracts, macular degeneration, glaucoma. They do LASIK surgery at Ophthalmology Associates. And yes, they can check your eyes to see if your prescription is still the right one for you, for your glasses and contacts. This will be the most thorough eye exam that you have ever had in your life, because really your eyes are a window into the health of the rest of you. So please take care of your vision and see the Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates. Ophthalmology Associates, 314-966-5000, or make your appointment today at youridoc.com. Ophthalmology Associates.
Now, back to the City Spotlight.
Our city! Our spirit!
Once again, Jen Cease on KMOX.
Back on the City Spotlight here at KMOX. Well, as we all know by now, the best goalkeeper in MLS is sidelined with an injury. City's Roman Berkey will be out for a month, and I quote, or so, because I'm thinking it might be longer, with a fracture in one of his hands, like right with the wrist area. But seamlessly stepping in for the team's 4th clean sheet in Seattle was Ben Lunt. Against Seattle at home was Ben Lunt. He and I caught up after training earlier this week to talk about his performance, his experience, and what's in store for him now. City fill-in goalkeeper for a time, Ben Lund, talking with him about City's intent on another road win, of course, this time against their former first-ever coach, Bradley Carnell, and his Philadelphia Union. Stay right here. One more segment to go, and it's one we haven't had since the start of the season, and I've heard about it, by the way. It's time to talk some laws of the game with former FIFA and MLS assistant referee George Gansner. He's up next on KMOX.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res Carpet Cleaners, Flooring Cleaners. They don't just do wall-to-wall carpeting, they do area rugs. They have a new system for hardwood floors. It really spruces them up for not a lot of money, so check that out. This is probably the most classic time of year for people to avail themselves of the services of Zero Res because it's spring cleaning, making it through the snow and the ice and the mud and time to clean everything up. So here's the Zero Res deal for this month. 3 rooms of carpeting starting at just $119. Also take $75 off your air duct cleaning. I have had the guys out to my home half a dozen times, maybe more than that. They are punctual. They are courteous. They are in uniforms. They work their butts off. And based on the 30-day Gotta Love It guarantee, if you don't love it, you just call them. They come back and they do it again. Call 314-474-2020 or do it online, ZeroResSTL.com. Say it backwards or forward, spells the same, Zero Res.
KMOX Cakes and Eggs, presented by Budweiser, is back at Cardinals Nation Restaurant in Ballpark Village, Thursday, March 27th from 11 till 2. It'll feature a live KMOX broadcast, a brunch buffet, draft beer from Anheuser-Busch products, and select mixed drinks. All-inclusive single tickets and tables on sale now. Celebrate this unofficial holiday with KMOX, Budweiser, Overhead Door Company, St. Louis Composting, Rally House, and Dirt Cheap. Get your tickets now at KMOX.com/events.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from the Gelman team of eXp Realty. Selling your home, every situation is unique. Find the best options that are right for you from the real estate team who offer more options. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
Cardinal Cowboy here. Years ago, doctors said I'd never be independent after a bad car accident. Well, I proved them wrong. When proving who's the best in garage doors, Renner does it every time. Whether it's service or a new door, you're covered with top brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster. Keep your garage door running strong with Renner's $100 maintenance check or get a free replacement quote. Call or click RennerDoorSTL.com. Renner, forward and back.
RENNER, RENNER.
Ernie Mickles here for my friends at Saliga Heating and Cooling, a St. Louis institution that has been serving St. Louis families since 1927. And this independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer has been taking care of the Mickles family for at least the last 15, 16 years. And I'm here to testify about their integrity, their prompt service, their professionalism, their knowledge, and the fact that when they come into your home, you're happy to see them because they're going to treat you and your home with class, and they're going to get the work done, and they're going to solve the problems. And they're not going to try to hustle or upsell you or talk you into something you're not sure about. We have found they'll actually give you cheaper solutions rather than trying to pitch a more expensive solution. That's why we love Saliga Heating and Cooling, and that's why we love this American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. If you want to get in touch with them, anything to do with your home or business heating and cooling, it's 314-481-7333, 314-481-7333, or visit them online at SaligaHeatingandCooling.com.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Now, back to the City Spotlight.
Our city! Our spirit!
Once again, Jen Cease on KMOX.
Back with you for the last segment of the City Spotlight, but don't go anywhere. This one's an important one. We haven't done one since last season, so it's that time. Joining me now for Laws of the Game is George Gansner, former FIFA and MLS assistant referee. George, thanks for joining me tonight and also being understanding that we really just didn't have a whole lot to talk about the first few City games.
Hey, I'm doing my happy dance, but it's not because there's been no controversy. It's because I still have an intro.
They found it. They dug it out of the archives. We found it. So let's go.
They were deep, I'm sure.
Let's go through the game. So we talk a little bit, you and I were actually looking a little bit at some of the highlights and replays today. And, just noted it kind of was lost on me that in the first 2 minutes, there were a couple of fouls pretty quickly called on City. Akil Watts with what I wondered, was it really that bad of a shoulder tackle? Durkins was pretty obvious from behind. And then at 2:30, so like 30 seconds away, Hartle goes down inside near the box, doesn't get a call. Can you just tell me what that does to set up the stadium for, hey, I've called these pretty hard and I'm going to let that one go. And then at the 3-minute mark, Kessler grabs the shoulder and there's another foul on City.
Yeah, it was a really interesting start to the match, right? So, the shoulder tackle that on, I don't remember our player, but on Nuhu.
Akil, Watts.
Akil, yeah. Could have been not called, right? Now, that early in the match is going to show the players, hey, you're going to get away with a lot today. And then makes the referee's job either potentially harder, depending on how it goes, or, everything could be perfectly fine. So you're at that point taking a risk. And Fotis Bazakos decided not to take a risk that early in the match. Then you move into another foul and then against St. Louis City, and then what appears to be a potential shoulder grab. I think you said it was Hartle going into the penalty area. He chose not to call it, and then he was a bit inconsistent when he calls the foul just moments later on Henry Kessler for doing essentially the same thing. I think the game settled in after that. It got the crowd into it, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think, that's always a fine line as a referee, is how do you want to not manage the game, because that's not a fair statement, but what is your line, right? What are you drawing that line at for the players? And I think it turned out all right in the end, and that was maybe a little bit frustrating for everyone, including myself, especially the shoulder tug on Kessler right after he didn't give one to St. Louis for Hartle.
Yeah. So we fast forward then to the 14th minute. There's a yellow card on Seattle. Jackson Reagan, he slips. The game was wet by that time. His stud slipped, of course. Does grab the ball, which was, fully intentional, but it's a yellow card and not a red card, even though it looked like, because that's a promising attack, right? And not a clear goal scoring opportunity. That's the yellow card.
Yeah. That's correct. There are two defenders who are clearly in play to not allow St. Louis, or to at least make an attempt to keep St. Louis from having a clear goal scoring opportunity. So no problem with that at all. And he's stopping a promising attack by grabbing the ball. It's pretty easy.
Now, hang on though. If he's the last defender and outside the box, and that happens, is that a straight red?
It would be straight red. If he had been the last defender and he grabbed it and a St. Louis player is going to go in on a breakaway, that would be a red card.
All right. So good. So only a minute away though. From some of that pressing, right? From some of that action, City got the free kick. Leuven scores, first home goal of the season. And then we have a game that stays pretty tight. Seattle battling, of course, and City battling. The score remained 1-0. And we look to then corner kicks. And the corner kicks I'm talking about are at 40 and 42, where it looked like there's a VAR review involved. Now, what we see on TV is Kessler and Nuhu having a really intimate conversation about what each other's problem is, if I'm reading lips right. But you pointed out that it's really not them that was the VAR. It was two other players.
Yeah, that was the show, right? That was where everybody's attention was, because they were dancing. And I think if I were Henry Kessler, I would have given Mr. Nuhu a hug.
I think he tried to.
Yeah, maybe. So, but on the back post, and you see this on the replay, you don't really see it in the stadium either, but on the back post, You have Wallum from St. Louis and Ferreira from Dallas, who are going at it pretty good too, just not as blatantly going at it, right? And in one instance there, it looks like there's a possibility that Ferreira potentially punches Wallum. Now, that didn't happen. He did look like he slapped him. Wallum kicks out a bit when he's on the ground. I'm really happy that they didn't give a penalty to St. Louis for that, because this is boys being boys on a corner kick. And like it or not, and I know you don't like it. We talked about that
I don't
earlier
like
today.
it. That's those wraparounds on corner kicks are ridiculous. That's what they do in American football. Come on.
Yeah, but in the end, right, this is guys fighting for position and trying to get what they can on a corner, and it's both offense and defense. And I'm really happy they let them go. So I think
this is why you guys get booed. This is why you guys get booed. I need a boo track, John. Boo track.
The assistant referee on the backside there had to have seen it, right? He had to have seen something. I've been in that position many, many times. I don't know if he gave an indication or if VAR instantly said, hey, we're going to look at this because something may have happened. But it was handled really well by the referee crew. It was handled really well. And then inevitably, when you have that much dancing, as soon as the ball's put into play, you have a free kick coming out almost instantly, almost every time. Fair or unfair, what you don't know as a fan is the referee is more than likely having a conversation with the defenders, or already had the conversation that said, hey, listen, the first one's going to go out. The next one's going to go to the penalty spot. So you guys decide how you want this to go, because I'm just got to blow the whistle.
All right, well, let's talk about that. Talk about almost going to the penalty spot. This one's at 90+2. Looks to be a trip by Kessler on Vargas, and we were really nervous at this point.
Yeah, so
and then, of course, we get the good news, though, from VAR. There you go, George. So there was the call for you to relive. Sorry about that. But yeah, it looks like it was something that literally almost gave Seattle a point rather than City taking the full and reviewed it. It took several minutes to get that done. Yeah.
So very quickly, here's what happened. So as the Seattle player is pulling the ball through, the ball comes off of one of the St. Louis defender that's with him. I don't remember. I think maybe Kessler. It then goes down to the forward from Seattle's hand and hits his hand, which is in an unnatural position, right? So I do know for a fact they were looking to see whether or not there was any additional deflection off the forward's leg, because that would have negated a handball. But in any case, the foul itself that was given for the penalty was not what was reviewed. It was the handball. So, basically a little fortuitous in St. Louis's favor. The call itself was a bit soft, but at the end of the day, they wouldn't have overturned the foul. St. Louis is lucky that there was a handball there.
All right. Thanks, George. We'll call on you again when we need the laws reviewed.
Sounds great. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you. That was George Gansner, former FIFA and MLS referee, joining us for Laws of the Game. Well, the show's done, believe it or not. If you missed any part of this City Spotlight, you can always find it free on the Odyssey app under the podcast section. It also, by the way, has previous content like all pregame interviews with City players and special interviews with Coach Olaf Melberg each week. Consider it your one-stop shop reference for all things City on KMOX and Y98. Next MLS regular season game for City is away on the East Coast. Tomorrow, Saturday, March 22nd, pregame at 6 p.m. on our sister station, Y98. The Gas House Gang is coming up next after the news. I'm Jen Cease, and you've been listening to the City Spotlight on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not